Hi there, welcome to Transformer Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2026 Wildwood 42Ice. We are just going to start off the back unit. If you notice up on your far left there, that is where you can get your pre-mounted for a Lippard collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can just contact the parts department. They can put together a quote for you. It's going to be a great addition to your camper. It's going to allow you to easily get up to your roof to check all your seals periodically. Also going to be located at the back. This is going to be that cable satellite hookup. Coming around to the driver's side of the unit, you're going to have your exterior shower. It does open up to your standard 751 key. Again, that's going to come on your both key rings that you have. You just turn it, opens up like so. Hot and cold water with a little pullable hose in case you wanted to wash the dog off or the kids got all muddy or something. It's a great little thing to have. Keep in mind you do have to winterize it when it comes time to that point. Right here, you're gonna low point drain sticker. It is located in the fender. You just got to turn those two valves. That opens up those low point drains. So if you're done winterizing for the year, it's always a good measure to open those out, allow all the antifreeze out of the system as much as you can anyway. And then of course, if you don't want water going stale or stagnant in the middle of the season, you can always crack those open, allow most of the water out. Just leaves that less of amount inside the system. Coming up a little bit ahead here, you're going to have this door here. Now this could be used for storage if you wanted to. I just do not recommend leaving anything too close. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of these wires, water lines, or anything like that. You could pack a little bit of things in here, but you're going to want to keep in mind that this water heater does get hot. It's going to put off quite a bit of heat, so just give it its adequate space just for safety reasons. Which brings me to your water heater. Pull on that. This is the service port for it. Main things you really need to worry about is that off switch there. Turning it on turns the thermostat inside on, of course, supplying power to it. And then you got your pressure relief valve. So we do have this system already winterized. Now, if you're going to be doing the winterization yourself, if you've done it yourself in the past, you probably remember having a tanked water heater and you had bypass valves you had to turn. This system is the complete opposite. There's no bypass valves you have to turn because it's a on-demand system. It's just a bunch of copper coils wrapped around in a circle. As water flows through it, there's a big flame in the middle that heats it up as it's passing through. So you just run your antifreeze through the system with it, of course, being off. You don't want to light it while the antifreeze is making its way through. And once you're done all your taps and you've done your process completely, crack the pressure relief valve like it is now. Leave it cracked open for the duration of winter, so that way if there is any leftover antifreeze inside those coils, once it starts gelling up during those extremely cold winter months, it has space to escape and it doesn't crack inside. Got your 50 amp service, twist lock connection. You take a note of this notch here. It lines up with this notch on this side. You're just gonna press that firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in. And then you got that threaded collar if you really wanted to lock that down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 50 amp plug in. Now, some Manitoba campsites don't have 50 amp service yet, so that's why we do include this 30 amp dog bone adapter, because even at the shop, we don't have a 50 amp service. We do only have 30. But whenever you're using this, just keep it in mind, because this unit's equipped with 2 air conditioners, if you're only using a 30 amp service, you can only run 1 at a time. You can't run 2, so just keep that in mind whenever you're using that. If you do accidentally turn on the second one, it's not the biggest of deals. It is just gonna trip your breaker, but it's not a good thing to do all the time, so try not to do that. Once you do plug that in, we do also include actually a 15 amp park adapter inside your starter kit, which is inside your front compartment, to go down from that 30. But whenever you're using that, especially with a unit of this size, realistically, it's just to charge batteries and run your lights, run your slide outs. That's gonna be about it. So the first of 3 drain exits is going to be this guy here. Now the only time you're going to have to use this guy or take it off is if you were to get a washer dryer installed. You're pre-plumbed and pre-wired for it, which is why this is drain here. If you were to get set up with that washer dryer combo, again, our parts department would be more than happy to help you out, putting together a quote and everything for you in case you did want to go with it. Just keep it in mind, you do have to take this cap off and leave it off whenever you're using the washer, as this is going to be the drain for that. Right underneath our main power cord inlet, you get that black tank flush. So it's always going to be a good measure to use that after every couple dumps. Just keep that tank that little bit fresher, especially if there was to be solids that weren't breaking down completely. But it's very important that you do read the caution sticker. You have to have your sewers hose connected, and you also have to have your black tank open. The reason being, If you are pushing pressure inside of that tank and that pressure's got nowhere to go, it could expand that tank to the point of cracking. So again, it's always very important that you have that valve open, which brings us down to our first sewer exit. Actual sewer exit, take that cap, twist it off. Our sewer hose is gonna have the same thing. Being the size of this unit, you're probably gonna be hard plumbed into some sort of system at a seasonal. Regardless, we do include the hose anyway. And then you got your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. It's gonna be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Now this gray tank is gonna be hooked up to the back bathroom, so that's gonna operate that shower, the little sink that's inside of there, and then of course this is gonna be for the toilet. You got your first of 2 stabilizer jacks with 2 up front, and then of course 1 back here, and that goes for both sides. Hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool to the 3/4 inch drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just giving another 1/8 turn to snug it up. It's gonna take any bouncer sway you see having the unit right now away, but just keep in mind they are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as so. Otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. The proper way to use them is to first level your unit. Once your unit is level with the slide outs in, run these guys down to the ground, and then it just stabilizes things up. Now, if you are using an impact with today's day and age, especially with cordless stuff being so popular, just keep in mind how much torque you put on them, as you do run the risk of bending them by over torquing them. Coming up a little further ahead, you got that last sewer exit. That's gonna be for your galley tank, so that's gonna be just for your kitchen sink. Works the same way as the rear ones do. Up top, I'm a pretty tall guy. I can't reach it, so a step stool for this unit is gonna be a great investment because you're probably gonna need it. But you're gonna notice up top there, that flaps open up. That's gonna be so that you can evacuate those fumes as you're making them. It's for your range hood. Once you're done using it for the season, or if you ever decide to travel with it, always making sure that you do close that up. That way you stop any excess dust from getting inside. And of course, any critters. Furnace exhaust, whenever it's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Get your fresh water fill, so if your campsite doesn't have water yet, you're going out early, you can siphon some water in through here, and that's what fills up your fresh tank. It's what your water pump draws off of. But if you're at a site with service, you're only using it during the peak times. City water connection, threaded garden hose in there, turn it on. You don't even need to run your water pump. That just automatically pressurizes all the lines. Right down below is the drain for that water tank, so pulling that white valve opens up the drain, allows all the water to exit out of there. You got your 1 exterior compartment here, so you're gonna find your manual tool for your stabilizer jacks, and then of course we include this standard starter kit, so it comes with a 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, and some other miscellaneous goodies, including that 15-amp park adapter. Right around to the front, inside this box here is going to be for your battery. That's where your battery is located, inside of there. And then right up top, you get your 2 30-pound propane tanks. Most of the time, you can loosen these 2 tabs off. That's going to give you access to both your tanks for your day-to-day access for turning it on and off. But let's say one tank goes empty and you have to fill it. That cover does just slide right out of place. This video makes it nice and easy to explain things. Right up front here, you got this white valve. This is your selector valve. So while it's pointed to this side, you're going to be drawing off this tank counterclockwise, like any standard barbecue, to open up the flow of propane. Now let's say this tank were to go dry, you just have to turn this tank off, flip it over to the other side, and you can draw off this tank, and even while you're getting this one filled up. Coming around the passenger side of the unit, again, you're going to see those 2 more stabilizer jacks in the front, again, corresponding to on the other side. Got your patio door entrance, which is the entrance we're going to be entering through today. It's going to be the easiest way to get to your control panel. Now, whenever you get this delivered, or if you're picking it up yourself, you're probably going to have to enter through that rear door. Works the same way as the front one, except you have to step over the couch to get to the control panel. Again, that's probably not something you're going to have to worry about too often. So now for the best part, to take a step on inside. You just take that assist handle, pushing it up, pulling it 90 degrees, it'll lock it into place. That'll allow you to pull down your stairs. First one's pull towards you, the last one flips down. Slide over your patio door. And now that, you can take a step on inside. First thing you'll notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. And then right by these stairs here is where you get your control panel. There's going to be a lot of stuff here, so we're going to be here for a couple minutes, so just be patient with me here. This main big switch here, this does do the main living space lights. They're on a dimmer as well, so wherever you leave them, that's where they're going to stay. Monitor panel system up top. It's going to tell you have a black tube, but that isn't actually hooked up to anything. It's just there. You got a black one, a gray, and a galley. Pushing the button tells you the corresponding level. It does go the same for the fresh and the battery level. You got some awning lights, which turns on some strip lighting outside, and then of course some accent lighting, which turns on some backlighting inside the slide out. Nice little touch. Down below, you got your awning control, which I would go over first. Before you ever run your awning out though, just keep it in mind. Keep an eye on the wind speeds. It's very important, especially with the awning of this size. Once the wind starts picking up, it doesn't take much to rip your fabric or bend your arms. It gets pretty costly pretty quick. It's going to be something you're going to be wanting to avoid. Now just hold the out button, watch the awning, make sure it's rolling the right way out. Once you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down, you'll know you'll be a full extension. You get pretty close to the wall here, but you should be able to get it all the way out. And there you go, you got that little flap hanging down, and now you see that back of the metal tube, so you know you're at your full extension. Now if it were to start raining, again, another reason I recommend a step ladder is I'm a pretty tall guy and I don't even come close to touching that. If you pull down on that center arm, it is going to change the pitch to your awning head, allowing water to run off. Now if you like that angle better because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you could do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that before you ever run your awning in, you do push both arms back to straight to their natural resting position for when you do want to bring it in. That way you just don't run the risk of bending anything. And then to bring it in, it is as simple as holding the in button. Awning's going to start rolling its way in, and once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motor will automatically cut out. Just a couple notes about the awning though. Let's say you have to bring it in while it's wet. Don't panic, it's not the end of the world. Bring it in, especially if the winds are picking up. But just remember, at your next earliest convenience, trying to remember to roll it back out and allow it adequate time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And then once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motor's automatically cut out. Next, you do your slide out control. Now that works somewhat simple. Push and hold the out button, slide up. The two slides are going to start making their way out. It's going to put your bedroom one out first, your kitchen one out last. But before you ever run your slide outs, it's always a good measure to just take a visual inspection in between the slide out here and the wall. Look down on the ground, make sure that there's going to be nothing that gets caught in between there, causing your slide out to bind or cause damage. And just of course on the outside, making sure you do have enough space to put it out all the way without running it into something. They both work on the same switch again, so you just hold that out button. Bedroom slide's going to start making its way out first. Once that one's out, it'll start pushing this one out, and you'll know they're both at their full extensions when you hear that the motor's wind up a little bit. So you hear the motors wind up, the lights will dim a little bit. Now if you want to be extra cautious, you just take your hand, run it between the slide out and the wall. You should be able to feel that rubber seal pushing up against the wall. That way you're sealing out any sort of water from coming inside. Now that's it for that. To your right, you got your JBL sound system. Works exactly like a JBL speaker. Turn the power button on, turns itself on. You do have to connect your phone to Bluetooth through this to play any sort of music. There's no FM transmitter or anything inside of this. Again, everything is going to run through your phone. Pushing the speaker buttons will take you between A and B. A will be the inside ones, B will be the outside ones. Down below, you get your thermostat for your water heater. I was telling you about that earlier. Power button to turn it on and off. Push up and down at any desired time to change the temperature. As an added safety feature, you are locked to 50 degrees Celsius off the bat, just so kids can't scald their hands. If you wanted to go up another 5 degrees, you could. Just push and hold that up button for 5 seconds, and you're gonna go up to 55. Just keep it in mind, going to 55 degrees Celsius, that is extremely hot water. It's pretty much boiling. You're probably gonna scald your hands if you leave them under there for too long, so just be cautious of that. And just a couple notes about the water heater. Because it's a tankless system, they call it an on-demand system. The way you want to use it is a little bit differently than home. you want to set this water heater temperature to the temperature that you find the most comfortable so that you can only run the hot. It works the most efficiently with the hot because the heater is based off of flow. So once you turn on the cold, it does affect the flow and you could get cold spots in between. So if you find the temperature the most comfortable at 45, set it, leave it there, forget about it. Once you turn on that hot, you should just be able to hop into the shower and have a nice comfortable shower and then turn the water off and you're done. Power button to turn that off, Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. And then down below here, this is the main thermostat for the unit. Sorry, this isn't the main thermostat for the unit. I'm gonna go over the main thermostat, which is up front here right away, just so you have to just, they do both work the same way. The only difference being is this thermostat here, sorry, it is the rear thermostat. It's the rear thermostat that controls the furnace. So push the power button, it illuminates itself. Push it one more time, you get into your different fan speeds. I'm gonna always recommend using auto as it creates an on-demand system. So once the room hits its desired temperature, it automatically kicks the fan off on the air conditioner. That does go to say that when you go to fire up your furnace, it's important you have it in the auto setting. Otherwise, when you go to, if you just turned off your air conditioner, you want to heat it up inside of here and you had it on either high or low, the air conditioner fan will continue running. And that does go, like I said, for an on-demand system. So push the power button one more time off that. You get to your first setting, which is the cool setting. So now that air conditioner is going to kick in. This one, of course, is controlling the front air conditioner. And it's going to cool the area off. Push the button again. That's going to kill your front air conditioner. Fire up your furnace. Your furnace runs off propane and it moves all its air through the floor portals you have throughout the unit. And it does only have one fan speed. Now, because this unit is equipped with propane, you got an LP detector right here underneath the island. Right against the island wall here. Now, if that guy does ever start going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents, and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. One more time on that thermostat. We'll just cycle you back over to off, and you are back to your normal settings. Up top in the front loft area, up in the front loft area, it's your standard, kind of like a bunk bed situation, mattresses, there's plugins, of course, lights, all that good stuff. That's probably where your kids will be sleeping. They're gonna love it up there. We will take a step into the bedroom first, just because we're all the way up here. These doors, both the bedroom and the bathroom, do open differently, so be cautious when opening them. It takes a little bit to get used to. I've walked into them a few times, but they kind of slide open. They don't just hinge open. So slide that over. You could take a step down into the bedroom. The light switch is going to be behind the wall, and also, or behind the door, and also behind the door is going to be your VersaTilt bed control. Holding the down button, that'll allow that bed to go down. With the up button, the bed has to go up. Now you're going to notice the bed was up. The bed does have to be all the way up for the slide out to come in comfortably and not run into contact with the front storage area. Speaking of that, you got this crazy storage space, all sorts of dresser and cupboard space. Right here, this is where your TV will be mounted if you wanted to mount one in your bedroom. Cables run behind there, and the reason the cables run behind there, it's kind of like a little secret storage space. You get a massive little storage space to put whatever you would need. Also, get your main satellite output here. This little black button turns on that green light. That's turning the antenna on the roof. It's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we do recommend leaving it on whenever you're camping. But if you're leaving the unit for a while, especially unplugged, you do want to try and remember to turn it off. That way you're just not drawing any extra battery power. Then to close it up, you're just closing it right on up. Drop the hinge down. You get your second fireplace. Now this fireplace and the one in the main living space do work the same way. Go over this one. You push the far right power button to turn it on. The button to the left of that changes your different flame colors. The button right in the center changes your different rock light colors. And then the button two in from the far left does go to your different heat mode settings. You push it twice to go into low. One more time will put you into high. And then you got a timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Power button on the far right to turn that off. All the blinds in the unit for the most part do work the same way. They just kind of sit really even. One quick pull to retract them back up. That is to say I'm going to tell you about the ones that are in the main living space up top after, once we get there. We got your bed. Now, if you pick up at the foot of your bed, you do get access to inside that outdoor storage compartment. Now, on this side of the room, again, tons of more storage space. And you are going to notice right here, you get a little antifreeze inlet sticker. So if you pull this drawer all the way out, that'll, on the rail of the drawers, on each side, there's a tab. You pull them in opposite directions of each other. That unlocks it. That would allow you to slide this drawer right out of place. And that would give you access to your water pump for winterization. It's going to be a bypass hose. If you follow the bypass hose back, it will take you to a valve, and you just have to make sure you turn it the right way. Back into the main living space. On the wall here, you get a little light switch to turn on your pendulum, I think they're called, lights. Awesome little feature. And then you're going to notice you got shade plus a TV lift button. So if you hit this TV lift switch on, hit up, that's going to turn that nice counter space, lift it up the TV in case you want to watch the game, cartoons for the kids, or whatever else you need to put on there. You just hold it up, it comes all the way up. You want it back into a counter space because you have some extra food or something coming. Just hit the down button with the switch on, of course, and the TV makes its way down. Now, if you turn the TV lift switch off, you got shade 1 and shade 2. That's going to be for these two upper shades here. They are motorized. There's even stickers on them that tell you don't pull them down because they're motorized. You just hit the down button, the shades will drop. Hit the up button, the shades go up. Awesome little feature, but again, the rest of them just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. So into the kitchen space here, you got your residential style fridge. Controls are pretty self-explanatory right down there at the bottom. You got your island space. Keep in mind these bar stools, they do have a travel strap on them. It's there for a reason so that things can't fly around whenever you're driving. And of course, they do have to be in the orientation that they're in for this slide out to come in comfortably and not cause any damage. So again, just make sure you do have those lined up before you bring the slide out in. Storage all throughout. Again, tons of storage all throughout this unit. Just of course, being mindful of drains, water lines, and things like that. You got your convection oven, which works pretty much just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. It also has your built-in range hood and light in it. And I always recommend running your range hood because you do have a gas stove. So whenever you're using the gas stove, running the range hood, you're evacuating those fumes as you're making them so you don't set off your LP detector like crazy. Now, a couple notes before we go over the propane. I'm going to go over a couple propane notes. I already told you about the LP detector. In addition to that, when you turn the system off at the front of the unit, and especially if you disconnect one of the bottles, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is going to be by running your stove because you get to decide how long the gas valve stays open for and how many lighting sequences it goes through. If you go to try to fire up your water heater or your furnace before you purge the system, you could get a fail to light code, and if you don't know what the code means, again, it's going to throw some frustration, so just fire up that stove first thing. It's going to fire up pretty quickly today just because I had the system running earlier, but you just turn the knobs over to high, making sure that you are hearing that lighting sequence happen because again, because it's gas, you want to be safe while using it. If you can hear gas coming out but no lighting sequence happening, turn the gas valve off immediately because if you were to have a small buildup of combustion gases and then a random ignition source, it could cause a combustion. And if your face was nearby, you might lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. That's going to be something you're going to want to avoid. Again, sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. Just make sure you're being safe whenever you're using it. Down right in the center, you get your oven one. The oven one can be a bit harder to tell when it's going to light, but if you look in between the holes here where the grate is, you turn that over to the high/pilot option right near the back, you're going to see that sparker going, holding and pushing the button in. Eventually, at some point, you start to see that flame. Now that that flame is lit and can hold its own when you're not holding in the button, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. Oven light switch on the far right to turn on the oven light, and then you do have some little blue accent lights you can turn on as well. Got some more cupboard space. Now, into this main living space, you have a fireplace, which I've already explained how to use in the front one. And then you get your beautiful couch space. Now, let's say you had some extra guests that you aren't able to fit in either of the lofts. So you just pull the cushions from their backyards here. Pick up at the foot here. Pull it towards you. Pick up the cushion towards you. Fold the legs down. At that point, you can drop this down. Fold that backer down, and you have yourself another bed. And then to get it back all back in, it is just the total opposite. Now again, you're gonna find lots of different accent lighting all throughout here, and it is most of them are gonna be on a switch. You just gotta look for it a little bit. That turns that on, and then you got that rear thermostat, which does control the rear air conditioner. Up in that back bunk there, again, it's going to be the same thing, just a bunk space with some plugs and lights. Now, to enter the bathroom, again, it's that funky door. You got to kind of swing open a little bit. Taking a step down, first switch, you got a shower light back there, in case you didn't want a super bright light first thing in the morning. It does just have a shower light, and then you got the main lights right next to it. On the wall is going to be the vent for the unit. For the bathroom, push the black tab in, push the handle out, power button right up at the top, and it starts sucking out any sort of moisture in the room. Or behind door number one, sliding door, slide it over. This is a little pantry, little closet space, but it's also where you're pre-plumbed and wired for the washer dryer combo. Again, if you'd like to get set up with either of those things, you just have to contact your parts department and they'd be more than happy to put together a quote for you. But let's say you didn't want the washer dryer combo, it's totally understandable. Just every year, make sure you always still winterize the two water lines that come inside of here. There is still water that comes to them even though you never run them. So again, it's always going to be very important that you do run antifreeze through them regardless, with a bucket underneath. Other than that, it's pretty much a standard bathroom space, with the exception of your main GFI plug being here on the wall. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, a lot of the plugs are hooked up through GFI. Just make sure that this isn't tripped. You got reset in the middle, test down below. And then behind this cupboard, right down below, you do get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And then all the fuses will be on that other side there. And there should be a little red indicator light if one does pop. Now that is it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.